I'm now going to show you with ERP Sync how we can link projects between Build and our ERP, how we can sync vendor and budget codes from our ERP to Autodesk Build. We'll then create a budget and contracts using some of this information and sync it back to the ERP. And then finally, we'll look at how we can sync cost details like payment applications back to Autodesk Build to give our project team better visibility of costs. On screen, we've got a couple of windows for our demo. Top left, we've got Autodesk Build Cost Management. Top right, we have our ERP, which is CMIC. And at the bottom, we have our application ERP Sync, which is what we're using to synchronize data between these two platforms. How do we get started? Well, it's really simple. We first need to create linked accounts to the systems that we want to sync data between. We're going to create a new config and start with our ERP system. We go through the authentication system, selecting the system. We provide credentials for our CMIC platform to authenticate with. We then add our project management account, which is Autodesk Build, authenticate with that platform. Choose our hub. And we have both systems added and linked. With the systems defined, it then shows us the data objects that we're supporting by default. You'll see that we have vendors, projects, and budget codes syncing from CMIC to Autodesk Build. We typically see our ERP system is the central source of truth for information like our vendors, projects, and budget code. So we want this critical information going to our project management system. And similarly, by doing this, it means that our project teams can stay in Autodesk Build Cost Management and create their budget, subcontracts, and change orders. We have this information syncing from Build to CMIC. We have cost details coming into our ERP system that we need to make available to Autodesk Build items like our budget, subcontracts, and change orders. So we have this syncing from our ERP to Autodesk Build. I also wanted to mention that we can automate the synchronization of data on an hourly or daily cadence. Simply specify which objects that we want to automate. Just keep that in mind during the demonstration because we'll be syncing a lot of data manually, but it can be automated. Last step is for me to save this config and then we're ready to start syncing data. Let's go to vendors in ERP Sync. What we see on screen are all the vendors from our ERP system. And we want to start synchronizing this with Autodesk Build. What we can also see in ERP Sync is any item that we've previously synced, when, with the option to unlink or update. Now, we could choose to synchronize all of our vendors in one operation, and the system will actually pick up any vendor that already exists in Autodesk Build. And what it's saying is I can create a link between these items, so 7 in total, and there are 244 vendors that it's going to create. Now in this example, we just want to synchronize a single vendor. Let's do a search. I'm looking for a concrete company, and I found it here. Before we sync this item, let's have a quick look inside of Autodesk Build. We're going to search the company. It's yielded no results, so we know the vendor doesn't exist. Let's return back to ERP Sync, and we're now going to do a push. So in a simple click, we can synchronize that individual vendor back to Autodesk Build, and we get immediate feedback to show us it's been successful. If we return to Autodesk Build, we're going to do a search. We can see the company has been created, along with all of the important critical metadata like the ERP company ID, the location, and any other metadata associated within our ERP system. The next step is projects. Now, I've already got a project created in my ERP system, and I've also created a project within Autodesk Build. Let's go to projects within ERP Sync. This is showing me all my projects from my ERP system. So whilst I could push this project, which would create it in Autodesk Build, because I already have one, I can use the Sync to option. This actually lets me map my ERP project to an existing project within Autodesk Build. I get a confirmation dialog, and if I click yes, those two projects are linked. So it's really quick and easy to link existing projects. With the project linked, we can now start syncing project-specific objects, starting with budget code. Now in the ERP system, we've already assigned cost codes to the project. In Autodesk Build, we do not have a budget code format defined. From ERP Sync, if we select the project, it will load in the budget code format from our ERP system, which actually consists of 3 segments: the job number, the phase code, and the category code. And it also shows you any other included formats like delimiters and lengths. As we scroll down, we can see a preview of what we're going to get, so that what the job number is, what the available phase codes and category codes, with anything that will not come through. And we can synchronize this with Autodesk Build in the click of a button and create our budget code format. We get immediate feedback when that synchronization is complete. And if we go across to Build and refresh, we'll see the budget code format has been defined. We have the job number, the phase code, which is actually nested items, so it's brought through the full structure, and the category codes. Now I have the budget code format defined. Let's create a budget. I've already prepared one for import. Let's go ahead and bring this in. Let's go back to ERP Sync where we can view the budget. Whilst our application is refreshing data, let's go to the ERP and load the budget. And we can see the budget is empty. Okay, great. What we can also see in the budget line items is all of the critical budget information along with the total, and we could validate this information against Autodesk Build. Once we're happy, we can synchronize the budget, and we're going to do a sync all or push all. And whilst that's syncing, we can refresh the budget in CMIC. And we can see that it's already being populated with information. And we can see the notification in the background that 21 items have been successfully synced. Now we have the budget fully synced, we can start syncing other cost-related items like subcontracts. For the purpose of the demo, we've gone ahead and created a contract, which we've executed. We've already assigned a budget line item. The type has been assigned as subcontract. You'll also notice we're using the supplier that we created earlier in the demonstration. And we've also created a schedule of values, and we've assigned some sub-items, so phase 1 and phase 2 of the project. Within CMIC, we've also loaded up the subcontracts page, and you'll notice that we currently have no subcontract records. We'll return to ERP Sync and go to our subcontracts. We can see our subcontract loaded with all of the relevant metadata, and we can sync with our ERP system. Let's go to CMIC and refresh. You can see the subcontract has been created. We'll go into the subcontract and we can see all of the relevant information has been populated. Vendor contract information. But not only that, we have the schedule of values, so the individual sub-items with all of the related costs and other associated metadata like job, phase, and category codes. In this final part, we're going to create a request for payment from CMIC and sync it to Autodesk Build. For the purpose of this demo, we're going to pre-populate the request for payment to speed up the process. We can see that we've entered a supplier, the same supplier we synced at the beginning of the demo. We're using the contract that we synced to CMIC, and we've also entered an amount for payment. We're now going to post this payment. We first need to put in a posting date, and posting is complete. Let's check that now. In CMIC, we can see the request for payment has been created with all the relevant metadata. Now let's go to Autodesk Build and check this. When we go to the cost payment application, we can see it is not populated. We're now going to go to ERP Sync and to AP Payments. When this refreshes, it will show us the record we created, our payment application, and we can sync this to Autodesk Build. Once that's complete, we get immediate feedback to show us it's successful. And if we refresh Autodesk Build, we can see the payment application has been created with all of the relevant cost details. And we can go into this in more detail and see that the schedule of value items have also been created with all the relevant cost details.